Welcome back to the deep dive. You've sent us your source material, and today we are tackling a stack of articles that offer a really direct path to financial confidence.
That's right.
Specifically, we're diving into the language of bills, payments, and all those monthly expenses.
The fun stuff.
The fun stuff, exactly.
Yeah.
Look, everyone knows what a bill is, but specific terminology and the phrases you need when something goes wrong or when you need to negotiate, that's where the stress really piles up.
It really is.
So our mission today is to give you the shortcut, the absolutely essential vocabulary in sentences so you can discuss money, payments, and expenses confidently, to turn all that jargon into useful daily language.
And the sources we looked at, they really focus on this idea of making the language feel, well, calm.
Calm, yeah, and practical.
And immediately useful for real life. It's about stripping away that intimidating financial complexity.
Exactly.
And that's the right frame, I think. When you master this vocabulary, it's not just about paying a number on a page, it's really about regaining control.
You're moving from just accepting costs to actively managing them.
Right. And that confidence, it helps you avoid penalties, it reduces all that financial friction, and I think most importantly, it lets you plan your future without, constantly feeling anxious about the mail or your inbox.
Okay, let's jump right in then. We're not going to spend time defining terms like cash or money because, you already know that.
Of course.
Instead, let's focus on the language around the certainty of payment. Like, when does a bill actually become a problem?
Well, the problem usually starts when you misunderstand the deadline. Everyone knows the term due date.
Sure, the day it's due.
But what's crucial is the language that comes after that date. A lot of people overlook the idea of a grace period.
Ah, okay. Tell me about that.
So the due date is the day it's expected, but the grace period is that little window afterward, maybe 3, maybe 7 days before penalties officially kick in.
So before the bill is marked as, what's the term, delinquent?
Exactly. Knowing that nuance gives you power. If a bill is not paid by the due date, it becomes overdue.
Overdue.
Right.
And the consequence of that is the late fee.
The late fee. That's the specific language you need to know. It's the extra money added purely as a penalty.
And the sources are really clear on this, right? Late fees are just a waste of money.
100% avoidable. And they often accrue interest the longer the bill stays unpaid.
And focusing on the language of necessity, let's talk about those expenses we really can't avoid. Utility bills. Everyone knows they pay for water and electricity, but what makes the vocabulary around utilities different?
Utility bills are fundamentally different because they relate to essential services, gas, water, electricity, sometimes internet.
These are used every day.
Every single day. So the language in those notices is often, high stakes. If an overdue payment is ignored, the company might issue a disconnection notice.
Or a shut-off warning.
Exactly. That language highlights that the consequence isn't just a fee anymore. It's the potential loss of a daily necessity.
That's a really practical insight. It's not just about money at that point. It's about maintaining stability.
And tying all of this together is the billing cycle. Now, this isn't just the date the bill shows up.
It's the whole period.
The whole period, usually monthly, over which your charges add up. Understanding your cycle means you can anticipate when that cash needs to go out. You can plan for it.
So if your cycle ends on the 15th, you know to check your budget right before that.
And it turns the whole process into a routine instead of, a monthly surprise.
That shift from frantic reaction to scheduled action is really the key goal here. So now that we have the core terms, due date, late fee, utility billing cycle, let's move into the real life stuff.
Applying them in those high-stress scenarios.
Right. This is where the specific sentences really come into play.
This is about giving you the verbal armor you need.
Okay, scenario 1, the unexpectedly high bill. We've all been there. You open the email and the number's way higher than last month. Maybe it's the AC in a heat wave.
Or the heater in the winter.
And that initial shock is it's universal. But the key is how you talk about it clearly, without, spiraling.
Exactly. You don't need to launch into some aggressive technical inquiry right away. The most effective phrase, the one that opens the dialogue without any accusation, is simply, "My electricity bill is higher this month."
It's just a statement of fact.
It's factual, it's concise, and it gives the provider, or maybe a roommate, the context for what comes next.
And after you state that problem,
Then the conversation can move to why. You might follow up with, "Can you clarify the usage period?" or "Were the rates increased?" The sources really teach that simplicity is key.
that leads perfectly into scenario 2, the forgotten payment. Life happens. A due date slips by.
And you get that pit in your stomach feeling that a penalty is on its way.
Right. So the first message you get will usually say your account is now overdue.
And that a late fee has been applied. The language is designed to get you to act immediately.
And the practical advice from the source is just set reminders.
It's simple, but so often ignored. If you get digital bills, put the due date in your calendar right away with a 3-day warning. It's a behavioral fix for a language problem.
Because if you avoid being overdue, you avoid needing the defensive language in the first place. But let's talk about how we pay. Payment logistics.
Okay.
Most things are paid online now. It's fast, convenient, but some big expenses, like rent.
A rent can still be in person or a physical check. The language you need depends on the method. You need to be comfortable saying, I set up the gas payment for auto draft online versus...
I need to drop off the rent check in person before they close.
Exactly. Knowing the difference means you budget not just for the money, but for the time it takes to pay.
Okay, here's where the proactive confidence really comes in. Scenario 4. Questioning an error. I think a lot of people feel powerless here. They think, well, the big company sent the bill, it must be right.
And that is the single most costly assumption you can make. If a bill is way higher than it should be, you have to check it.
It could be a simple mistake.
A meter misread, a double charge, a data entry error. Ignoring it means you're just paying money you don't actually owe.
So how do you start that conversation without sounding hostile? You're talking to a customer service agent who didn't cause the problem.
The key is to phrase it as an investigation, not an accusation. The polite, essential phrase is, I think there may be a mistake on my bill.
That phrase is a powerful shield.
It is. It maintains courtesy, but it forces the provider to actually look into the charges.
Let's elaborate on that. So once you've used that phrase, what's the next sentence you should be ready with?
You need to ask for documentation. If they say, no, that's your charge, you follow up with, can you provide a detailed usage breakdown for the last 2 billing cycles, please?
Ah, you're using the language of accountability.
You're asking them to justify the number. This is where your new understanding of the billing cycle really helps you connect the dots.
That move from polite question to demanding detail, that's the kind of actionable step we need.
Absolutely. Confidence here means shifting from being a passive consumer to an active auditor of your own finances.
Okay, let's move into section 3, which is the social side of money. Often the most complicated part. Splitting the bill.
Oh, definitely. With roommates, with friends. It can be a minefield.
So what's the core problem?
The friction comes from a clash in philosophy. The source material points out 2 main ways people split things. Some people just default to splitting costs equally.
Simple division. Doesn't matter who used what.
Right. But others insist on paying only for what they used. And that's where things get tricky.
Can you give us an example?
Sure. Imagine you live with 2 roommates, but you travel for 2 weeks every month. You pay for 1/3 of the electricity, but you only used a fraction of that. Or at dinner, you ordered water while everyone else had cocktails.
That discrepancy. That's why the language matters so much.
It really does.
So if you're the one who wants to deviate from that equal split, you need a polite, preemptive phrase to set that boundary without causing offense.
And the phrase must be an inquiry, not a declaration. You use, do you mind if we pay separately this time?
The key part there is, do you mind?
It signals respect for the social norm, and it allows them to agree easily. If you had the salad and they had the steak, this phrase protects your financial boundaries smoothly.
And in a roommate situation, how can you use the utility terms we talked about?
Well, instead of just saying, I'm not paying that much, you can say, given my reduced usage this past billing cycle, could we split the electricity bill based on individual consumption rather than equally?
You're using the specific term billing cycle to justify the request.
It elevates the conversation. You move it from an emotional haggle to just practical accounting. It's about maintaining social harmony and financial clarity.
Right. It prevents small money disagreements from damaging important relationships.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's bring this all together. We've covered the vocabulary, the essential phrases for tough scenarios, and the social dynamics. So what does this increased confidence actually unlock for you?
Well, the immediate payoff is less stress, for sure, but the long-term payoff is reduced cost. The source material summarizes several simple habitual actions that, when you combine them with this new vocabulary, can really shrink your monthly expenses.
So beyond just paying on time, what are those tangible actions?
They fall into 3 categories. First is consumption control, turning off lights, using less water. Small behavioral changes that directly impact your utility bills.
Okay, makes sense.
Second is vigilance, consistently checking your statements for errors, just like we discussed. And the third, which connects directly back to your new language skills, is negotiating with service providers.
Ah, negotiation. That's a big one.
Just the simple act of calling your cable or internet company and asking, are there any promotional rates available for long-term customers? That requires confidence.
It does. You're not just accepting the due date or the rate, you're engaging with it.
Yeah.
You can confidently use phrases like, my current billing cycle rate seems uncompetitive compared to other providers.
Precisely. Small changes in habits, plus the confidence to use specific, non-hostile language can lead to substantial savings over a year. The core message is clear. The clearer your language, the more control you have.
This has been an incredibly practical deep dive. To you, the listener, here's the challenge. Take one of the specific sentences we talked about today. Maybe that polite inquiry, do you mind if we pay separately? Or that key phrase, I think there may be a mistake on my bill. And just resolve to use it this week. Practice using this language little by little and watch how quickly that conversational competence turns into real confidence.
And let's end with a provocative thought that builds on this. If you are now armed with the confidence and the specific language to discuss utilities and service contracts, think about your cell phone or internet provider. Many services automatically increase your rates after an intro period, or they vary small, unnecessary charges in the detailed statements.
Charges you might have just ignored before.
Exactly. So what hidden costs or entirely unnecessary services might you be paying for right now that just by making one phone call and using the confident, precise language you now have, you could negotiate down, request a credit for, or eliminate entirely? Your confidence in the language is the key to unlocking immediate savings. Think about what you could save starting today.